So James, thanks for having the chat with us for Keep Cardiff Live. You're obviously otherwise engaged in a somewhat kind of, haute cuisine kind of way at the moment with a major barbecue operation going on. But thanks for your time anyway.
That's
Listen,
all right, no problem.
I've lived in Llantrisant area. I live in Pontyclun now. I've lived in this area for about 20 years now, and I think that
Right,
you're
okay.
from the Llantrisant area, aren't you? I think, and
Yeah,
uh,
just up the road.
the guys you hang out with in WYNT as well. I think a lot of them come from that area. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Billy
Okay.
Wint is in Landerson Hill. Wint, Billy Wint.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Because I was wondering about that. Yeah, because that's known locally as the Billy Went, isn't it? But I didn't know
Yeah,
whether that's what it was. I used to go there
that's
once.
it. That's exactly where it's come from.
Just to say, with I noticed when you were getting the band together, just reading through quickly, you said that the guitarist, you said he was a shredder, and you met him at a jam night. Was that
Yeah,
possible Bush by any chance?
it was the Bush, yes.
Yeah.
So that's Dewi, and he always surprises. He's always surprising us on multiple occasions when, especially when I first went up there, he was like, I don't know, 13 or something like that, and just super young and scared of playing in front of an audience. But like,
Oh,
even at that age, we were amazed by how well he could play guitar. So um, as soon as we needed a guitarist, he'd sort of grown to that age. I don't know. I think it was 16 when we started playing with him.
yeah.
So he was a few years old, a few years younger than us.
Hmm.
But yeah, his ability to play guitar is amazing, and he's just got better ever since.
So we're talking about the Bush in Llantwit Vardra, which has a weekly jam session on a Thursday. At the moment, it's virtual, but actually some really very talented people come through. I've seen you play there before now.
Yeah, all sorts. Yeah, I mean, I think my father took me to the Bush when I was about 13, 14, maybe even. And I've carried on playing there ever since on that jam night, and it's never stopped. It's been every single week
Yeah,
since I can remember. And I think it's a very good way that for sort of learning musicians to start, and even people who are maybe past their sort of hype of musicianship, but they could carry on because they enjoy it. They just sort of go down for a laugh, and that's what it's all about. So it's getting all sorts of crowds together.
yeah. No, I mean, we're not here to talk about the Bush as such, but it's quite a high caliber, and it can be. And
Yeah, you get a good artist there.
of all the jam nights that I've been to, I'll go to. I think it's one of the best. People what
Yeah,
they just want to hear. They don't care if it's new. They don't care if it's original. They just want to hear you play music, and that's absolutely what it's about, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
Tell me a little bit about just talk a little bit about WYNT, because I noticed that I just been watching the video for Bad Vibes. Just very briefly tell you, Darren Broom from the Lost Agency did a talk at the university that I worked at, and he was going through a whole bunch of bands. You know what Darren's like, because I know you have
Yeah,
an association with Darren. This band,
yeah,
this band does this. What do you think? La la la. Everything's like really really quick and quick fire.
yeah,
I played a little snippet of your song, yeah. And
yeah. Okay.
if I'm being honest with you, I didn't really get it then because it was only a short snippet. But watching the whole thing now, wow! I mean, who this is Bad Vibes. This is the one. This is the one to get all hits on Spotify. Is that right?
This is our first single.
Yeah.
Don't think we had any idea how it was going to go down, what the case was,
Hmm.
but again, we just put it out there. We sort of built up the experience we had over the last few years, and tried to get it right this time,
Yeah.
by using Darren as a PR person, and really giving it our all. And it came out really well for us. I mean, we're not expecting to be hitting major deadlines here, there, and everywhere, but for a first single for an unknown band, I think we did pretty well with what we achieved with that song. From everything from the production to the PR and the radio play and whatever else.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the video we did for that song was in our bass player's house.
Who's the girl?
Pretty low budget.
Who's the girl
You
sitting
know
at
what I
the
mean?
table with you?
So actually, we were meant to have different people sort of acting the day until the very day it happened, and then they pulled out, which is great. So it turned out to be me and the drummer's girlfriend,
Okay.
which was,
Yeah.
you know, slightly awkward. But I mean, we both had the best intentions, so
Yeah.
I think it came out good enough for anyone else to sort of view.
I mean,
We might cringe a bit when we watch it, but
well, you might, but I mean, I've only watched it the one time, but I really like the way the videos put across that you know, it's kind of a performance video and it's a kind of a situation video, and you step out of one into the other, and then you're back into the other side of it. It kind of flips
yeah,
out, you know, which is lovely. You just step into
yeah.
the van, and then you're back in the room again. You
It
know?
was a really difficult shoot being one house because we had to sort of empty each room
Mm.
into the next to do a shoot. And when we get to the next room, we empty it all back into the other one. And then if we missed a bit, we had to empty it all back into the other one again. So it was a really long day of moving furniture around, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
But
somebody else will do that for you, you know.
well, I don't know, not at that stage. Unfortunately, it was all us, and it was a very long day doing it. But you know, we had Bethan Miller, who's a girl from Cardiff, very well known with a lot of bands, doing videos and more well known photography, really. But yeah, she's been a good friend with us for quite some time now. So yeah, we managed to get that video done with her, and I think it went down really well.
What's the numbers on Spotify? It's quite impressive, isn't it? I think.
I think we just hit 20,000 streams on Spotify.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it seemed to be picked up on a few like release radars. I mean, algorithms work in weird ways on Spotify, so you never really know what you're gonna get. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we were sort of steadying out in the first week, and then all of a sudden, overnight, it sort of like quadrupled, just because it got released onto release radar, and that's just the way it works with Spotify. So you never really know how it's gonna go until it happens.
And you got onto one or two cool playlists, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, there's a couple dotted about different sort of parts of the world, and or at the minute, more of our players in America for some reason. It's just the way it's gone. So like LA is our top city,
Wow.
followed by Seattle.
Okay, well, there's the
I
two.
mean, yeah, that would be absolutely amazing, but I, you know, it's just one of them things with internet audiences these days. You don't really know where you're at as such, and for us to do some sort of American tour, it'd have to be financially beneficial, and you know, we'd have to see some large numbers on there for us to actually do that, but
You could,
it'd be wicked nonetheless.
yeah. I mean, but it's funny you should mention the American thing, because listening to it, what I was actually knocked away, it was actually quite subtly done, but there's some really fantastic harmony stuff going on there, and it sounds like real kind of West Coast America. You know what I mean?
Well, this is kind of the thing that hit the nail on the head for our sound, is if you would hear WYNT on the radio and you go, oh, that's WYNT, because before this band we had other bands, and I'm not going to go too much into that, but um, as soon as we started WYNT, I was really focused on the fact that harmonies make the difference rather than just one vocal singer.
Definitely.
Um, so we spent a bit of time just doing three-piece harmonies, and I mean, we're not we're not the Eagles, do you know what I mean? We're not a harmony band as such, but it doesn't take an awful lot to have another two singers sing a pretty easy part just to give it that wideness on a song, and it really comes across. And if you can sort of get that across live as well, it makes a world of difference.
That particular song,
That's
it's when it goes into the, sorry, James, when it goes into that particular kind of stop moment where the music stops and you just hear
yeah,
harmonies, you know, like welcome in.
yeah. So that's the chorus, and that's where it worked on that particular song.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, it really obviously caught took everyone's attention. Do you know what I mean? If you're playing that live and you stop and a three-piece harmony comes in,
lovely.
it takes everyone's attention. It was kind of, you're doing that, not realizing where you're going, but as you look back on it, yeah, it's kind of obvious, really. But
Because funny enough, because I noticed that you would have been playing, I think next week, a festival, and I think Himalayas were headlining one of those
right,
nights. fifth or
Yeah,
sixth.
I'm trying to think what month we're on. So we're just in June.
Yeah,
So I think we're doing Broadstone Festival this month.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, Himalayas got added to that bill because they sort of teamed up with This Feeling, um, which we were a part of for this year. We were a part of This Feeling Big in 2020. And unfortunately, it's just typical, really. The
Oh,
year that we've sort of got the bit of support and everything's hit the fan. But
yeah.
um, yeah, so Himalayas got added onto that as they've been a big part of This Feeling for the last couple of years. So I mean, it's all those sort of connected bands over the last couple of years and this year and the rest of it.
I mean,
Um,
they had a phenomenal result on Spotify, didn't they? It just keeps on growing.
yeah, mad because when we were in our old band, I mean, Himalayas weren't called Himalayas to start with. I can't remember what they were called, but they supported us on a certain gig, and I remember thinking, I know it sounds corny, I remember thinking, but I do remember thinking Joe, the lead singer, he had a certain sound on his voice and
Mm,
certain delay as well on the vocal effect, which he obviously asked for
yeah,
front of house, and it made the world of difference. And you could see that they were a brand new band, and it was their first couple of gigs, but you could see the potential in them,
yeah,
and that's just carried on the show. And then we supported them, they supported us. We did that for a couple of years. When our last band finished, they sort of took off then over the course of a year or two while we were starting our next band. And it's mad to see, the things that they've achieved. They've played all sorts of festivals and the rest of it. So,
I mentioned the
so
Himalayas in particular because their manager for a long time was Rob Mulcher, and Rob Mulcher played in a band called the Scooters. You may not have come
yeah,
across maybe before your time, but you kind of have that kind of Scooters thing in your harmony sound,
all right,
the production. And it was interesting you said about LA. Funny enough, for the Scooters, this is going back a good number of years ago now, but guess where they ended up living? LA, and
right,
that
okay,
because that kind of harmony thing, really works. Um,
yeah,
you've got a solo project on the go at the moment. Tell me a little bit about that.
yeah. So this is so in between the time. So my old band was the Broadcast. It's very much the same members of WYNT, but with a few changes. So when we finished the Broadcast, we took about a year out, where we started, looking for new members and weren't really sure what we were going to do with ourselves. In the meantime, I ended up just recording a few of my own things with Todd Campbell,
Yeah,
um, who lives pretty local to me.
Auntie Boy.
So, yeah, I was down there. Well, his studio's actually just down in Talbot Green. So I was down there every couple of months. I recorded them over a period of about 6 months, I think.
Hmm.
And I had Dane Campbell, his brother, play a track on drums, and then I had Ashley from our band, WYNT, play on the rest of them.
Hmm.
But it was kind of like just people pitching in here, there, and everywhere. We had Neil Garland from Hand of Dimes. He plays in now. Used to be in a band called Cougar, going back many years ago.
Yeah,
Um, so there's all sorts of artists on there, quite varied, and I was really quite happy with the songs, but I just wanted to make sure I released them at the right time, and that time never really came until now, because once we started with WYNT, I just didn't have the chance to play them and promote them as I should have done.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
sort of held off from it for the last 3 years till it got to the point where I thought, well, I'm never going to release them now. They're just
Blimey.
sort of stuck. They're
Yeah,
stuck in the archive, and that's it. But as it's come about, I thought we're down in lockdown now. No one can play any gigs.
hmm,
If you've got stuff to release, well, now is my perfect opportunity because I don't have to play the live gigs to release it. So I took this opportunity, yeah, to get those songs out there, quite independent. I'm not chucking loads of money into it because I'm simply doing it by myself. But yeah, I'm gonna do what I can with it. Get it about as much as possible.
is
And
it an album, is it, James? Is it a
so sorry.
full album? Full album?
No, it's just 4-track EP.
Okay.
I did record a couple more, but I felt the the 4 tracks that I picked for an EP, it wasn't quite enough for an album, but the 4 tracks I picked for the EP were my favorites, and that's what I was really happy to get out.
And these, what's the name of the EP? It's just James Davis, or
Uh, no, the EP name is Changing, which is taken from the first track,
okay?
um, which was originally written about. I'm trying to think now through the song.
Come on, go now.
Uh, However, whatever you think this song's about, the first thing people are going to think when they hear this song is that it's about this total isolation time, because those lyrics fit this time perfectly, which is why it took the name of the EP, because I'm releasing it now, and the words just work so well with the situation we're in.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think what it was about. It's about myself as a person, not allowing myself to sort of stay true to, not stay true. I'm trying to think of the word. Just commit to any way forward in life, because I'm so set on the dream of music and all the rest of it. I mean, the thought of buying a house and all the rest of it, it's just like, oh, it's killer. It's ruined everything. So that's kind of where the idea stems from in a song. And I mean, I'm not setting any lyric. I'm pretty blasé on my lyrics. Nothing is set in stone, but the idea all comes from that sort of thing.
So these songs, would they be songs that you would use with WYNT, or will they just be standalone, or could they mix together? I don't know.
No, so everything I write for myself is usually a lot softer than the stuff I write for WYNT.
Hmm.
WYNT tends to be pretty up tempo all the time. Um, but yeah, everything I've written for myself, these songs will never be played as part of the band with WYNT.
Okay.
But I do play with a band called the Kinky Wizards. Don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Pretty vague.
They're from originally from sort of Lantyvarga Church Village, I think, and two brothers, bass and drums, absolutely amazing. I mean, Jiffy, who plays drums, is an incredible drummer to watch, but he actually plays piano like a wizard as well. Um, so they sort of like heard some of my solo stuff, and over last year we played just one gig. We did one gig, and we played through some of my original stuff, and it was really fun to play. And I'm sure they'd be up for doing more of it. In fact, I know they are, and I'd love to as well. But it's just kind of like the timing of when you're doing stuff with the band, and when you got time for other side projects.
Yeah, and like you said, this thing which is going through our lives at the moment just knocks everything, helter skelter.
Yeah,
We don't know where we are. We don't know when we're going to play again. We don't know when Venice.
exactly.
But you,
That's the case. So
I suppose, are you still writing new stuff and writing? Do you write? Are you writing new stuff, and do you consciously write stuff? Yeah, this is James Davis stuff. This is Kinky Wizards. This is WYNT. Is that the way it works?
I think quite naturally,
Mm.
the songs I write quite naturally without thinking about, it tends to be my own stuff. Because I'm quite one for listening to James Taylor or Neil Young and
Yeah, I noticed you got great.
chilling out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I tend to write a slower song, a bit more acoustic, country, folk, whatever. Um, and then as it comes to a band, I might put the sort of Pink Floyd solo in there. But
Mm.
with the band, if I'm writing for the band, I gotta think I'm writing for the band. So it's gotta be a certain tempo. It's gotta be catchy, because for the
Mm.
last 2 years we've been trying to make radio songs, and that's I'm not gonna hide that. Like, that is what we want to do. We want to catch people's attention at the minute. When it comes to writing an album, then we'll stick the odd slower one in there and try and experiment a bit more. But for the last 2 years or so, we've just literally just been going radio single, radio single, radio single.
Well, one of the interesting things I remember from Darren, I'm sure he's had this conversation with you. When he was playing all these different bands, he said, yeah, chorus 34 seconds, chorus 43 seconds, chorus 31 seconds. Is it this kind very much, these guys in the radio industry, they haven't got time to mess about. They're going to like your stuff. They're going to like it straight away. And that song you know, Bad Vibes comes in like, you know, it comes in with a bullet, doesn't it? Bang! It's in the it's in your face. You know?
Yeah, I mean, when we spoke with Darren about releasing that song, we didn't go into that much detail really about how many seconds each chorus or verse was.
Yeah.
But I think instantly, if you're looking for a radio single, people are timing how long it takes to get to the first chorus. And with that song, it doesn't need any introduction. It's there straight away.
Okay.
Which is,
Yeah. Bang.
I mean, and that, like you think that wasn't made out of it. It's just the way it worked out. I mean, but you listen to it back and you think, well, it's just there straight away. When if a radio producer plays it on radio, they very often, well, they don't tend to introduce the song before it plays. It just comes in out of nowhere, and then they'll say something about it after, because it doesn't need a lot of introduction with that song. It's just there straight away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's not something we sort of spoke about and then reproduced after. It's just the way it was. But I think we've been working with Ramesh Dodingoda,
Ramesh
who
didn't.
produced.
Ramesh didn't produce that, did he?
No, he didn't produce that. Todd Campbell produced that. But our new stuff, we've been working. We just recorded in February. We recorded with Ramesh Dodingoda, and obviously he did the #1 album for Bring Me the Horizon just last year, I think. So yeah, we were super keen to work with him, and we did 2 songs with him, both that we're planning to release. But the first song I'm hoping to release is called Bad Vibes. No, it's not called Bad Vibes. It's called Bloom. And I've openly spoken about this during live streams over the last sort of 2 months while we've been doing this lockdown. So it's no secret to anyone. But you know, that song where we went through with Ramesh, we sort of like got the basic idea of the song, and then we reproduced it when we got to the studio. Then it was all about cutting out what doesn't need to be there and what needs to be there, and then adding middle eights and all the rest of it, and things you think, oh yeah, actually when you come to say it, that really works well. And I've had experiences of that in the past where we've gone with a producer and they've just chucked something in the works that completely works for you.
Yeah.
And it usually, that's what you pay producers for, because they know what they're talking about. So
Again, quite interestingly, James, by the way, is your barbecue all right? You haven't burnt anything yet, have you?
it's still going. It's all right. I'm running it low heat. And my mum's stepping in every now and again just to tend the chicken.
Hey, Ramesh, I don't know whether you look around the Keep Cardiff Live site. I mean, I work for a university, but I do a lot of stuff for Keep Cardiff Live. There's an interview on there with Ramesh.
Okay.
Quite recently, because I know you were part of CMF Festival as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I did a bit of that. Yeah.
Solo performance for that. So that was kind of. I worked with a colleague of mine on the CMF thing. It was nice to see you involved.
Right. Okay.
But we
cool. No worries.
spoke to Ramesh about that very thing actually, about the influence of producers on songs. And I said, do you sometimes take songs and then kind of, reinterpret them and take the band on this route? He said, well, that's why I'm a producer. Yeah? So.
Well, Ramesh is very straight talking. I mean, he's got enough history to back up everything he's doing for a start. He's very encouraging to local Welsh artists. He can't, if he likes you, he can't do enough for you. I think we came to him, we had Bad Vibes. He knew Todd well. He contacted Todd straight away to say, do you mind me working with this band, because I don't want to cause an issue. So it's all very much a lot of respect between artists and producers, which is great. But yeah, we got talking to Ramesh a couple of times in Cardiff, and quite a few times before we actually ended up recording with him this year. All to the thanks of Forte as well, who helped us sort of get that session in, because I mean it was already kind of booked in before we started with Forte, but they got on board with us, and we had goals that we wanted to achieve already, and they just made that much easier for us. So that was super cool.
Tell people a
But
little.
yeah,
Sorry, James.
sorry, go on.
Could you tell people a little bit about Forte who don't know what it is and how it works?
Yeah, okay. So Forte is a funded group, funded by various different places, but they're there to help up and coming artists. They pick 10 a year, and WYNT have been selected this year amongst a few others. And I think they're in their like 6th year running now. The funding builds every year, so there's more and more available. So I think the submissions are there open around maybe September. I might be wrong on that, but towards the end of the year, and they'll take an solo artist or a band on for the entire year, to try and help them succeed in areas where they may be held back by funding, or just and it's anything just from not just funding, but there's a lot of they'll bring like PRS members in and all the rest of it to talk to you about, to understand PRS a bit more, because it's not exactly straightforward, a lot of this stuff.
No.
And it'll get the experts in to sort of give you a day's course on it, really.
Yeah.
And it's so extremely helpful to artists like ourselves. So
yeah, and it's also kudos, isn't it? It's been associated with that stuff. And you're doing all the right things, so you just keep continuing to grow, as far as I can see. I love the fact you named after the Billy Wint, by the way. That's great.
I don't know where that came from. I think it was literally a random shout in the dark, and it happened. And it's like, yeah, okay, it's 4 letters. It can't be that hard to print on a T-shirt. Let's just go for it.
I did you were supposed to be playing Hiraeth Festival as well, weren't you, in July? And
that's just only last week. That was postponed now till next year, which is unfortunate, because that festival is a real local up and coming festival, which is it's great to play, and I feel it could really progress in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't doubt that it will progress. It's just a shame for it to be postponed another year, but it's not to anyone's surprise, really. It's just the way things are at the moment. So
headlining the Friday night, if I remember, is that right?
yeah. So last year was our first year,
Yeah.
and I can't remember what slot we played, but I think it was like an early evening slot, something like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bands we knew playing there, and we're pretty close with the people putting it on now, Celia.
Well,
and
Simons and Andrew Thomas, isn't it? I think are the two people.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
they're
it.
just absolutely lovely people, and I just love their attitude towards music.
They turn up to all the gigs.
Yeah,
they're there all the, like, previous to doing Hiraeth Festival. They must have showed up to. They showed up to our first ever gig, which was in Bay the Rugby Club, and I do remember them, and it was from that date they booked us. So, like, to have faith in a band from the word get go,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That shows a lot of passion. So we're really appreciative of that.
And obviously, this situation is again impacted on them. But I mean, I know them a little bit, and I've got a band that's played at Hiraeth on 1 or 2 occasions, and I know how difficult it is for them to make this happen, but they do it.
Yeah,
people like that.
It's a lot of.
You've got to support them, really.
You got to go out your way to do it, and it's not necessarily just going to come flying back at you easy. So, yeah, it takes a lot.
Yeah, but sorry, James. Are they just going to they're just going to sort of take the whole festival as it is and move it next year, sort of thing?
I think as much as possible, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on it, but yeah, as far as I know, we're booked. Same again next year. No changes.
So, talking about the coronavirus thing, how are you dealing with that? Because in terms of gigs, have you got like aspirational dates where you might be playing? Are you in touch with venues? Is everything on hold? How does it work?
So everything in our calendar came to a stop sort of May. I mean, up till Hiraeth last week. Now everything's completely either cancelled or postponed. We got the feeling that was going to happen, as the weeks went on.
Inevitable, wasn't it?
So we weren't all we've been doing as a band really is either writing and sending stuff to each other in our own time, or we've been having Zoom calls with guys from Forte, trying to get a few things sorted, a few plans ready for like music videos and all the rest of it. But it is very difficult to schedule when you can do these things and how you can do them without knowing the rules and when they're going to happen.
Yeah.
So we are kind of sort of sitting on a holiday at the minute. Just keep on playing as you are. I've done a few live streams. I don't really like doing live streams. They're not. I love the feedback at the end of it, but I hate the anticipation going into it. It's unlike any live gig I've ever played. It's just a strange feeling. So I'd say I hate them. I just don't really feel that comfortable with them. But fortunately, I'm not like that for a normal live show. So that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So once this is all over with, I am ready to go. But yeah, I mean, playing as things stand, just sort of we're keeping in contact with each other, keeping the contact going, trying to do what we can to keep people interested. And we've got songs there ready to go, and they're the best things we've done so far. But to organize music videos and everything like that is really difficult when you haven't got a set date saying when you can do this and when you can do that. So at the minute we're just playing it by ear, really.
Are any venues sort of talking about, like next year, and you forward planning stuff at all, or not at all?
Like I said, I think I've seen bands release posters and tour dates for winter tours. And personally, I don't see the point in doing that ourselves. Only because, like, you really don't know when these things are going to open. As things move forward now, we might have a bit more of a clearer mind, but until we have that sort of certainty of when things are going to open, when things are going to be normal, I'm not going ahead with anything, because it's more hassle to cancel a tour than it is to book it.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are quite understanding, but you don't really want to be doing that, do you, if you can help it. Like I said today, I've seen my older daughter for the first time in 3 months today.
Yeah.
Across, because the first day, so it's only a few miles away. Just pop across and see her. Even then, kind of
Yeah, it's crazy.
close to each other, but it's a mad situation.
Yeah, it is mad.
What do you think the impact is on music? I don't know whether Wales is different to anywhere else. Do you think it's had in terms of venues and sort of where we are with music in Wales? Do you think it's a big impact? Are you worried about the situation?
I think the music venues were struggling enough as it was, and now, I mean, hopefully they've been supported enough by the government to carry on financially. But I think the problem will erupt when the government do say it's okay to open, and suddenly they can't get the people in because there are further restrictions. They can open, but there's still further It's the same with pubs or wherever you go.
Yeah.
Maybe they can only run at a third of their capacity, and
Mm.
that will just kill people, because they can't earn the money they need to run the property or the business or whatever. So I think the worst is yet to come in financial point of view.
Yeah, and the secondary, of course, it really to the health situation, but it is going to have a major impact, I think, for years to come, actually. So,
Yeah, I mean, you only have to think about the amount of money. It's all well and good people getting furloughed, getting the financial support they need, and the businesses, but when you think of the actual mass of that impact, that has got to take some sort of strain, super strain on the economy as a whole, and I think that will take quite some time to get over.
Yeah. What about you and your songwriting? Has it inspired you to write at all?
I've been ridiculously lazy, to be honest. I've just been laying out the garden, sunning it up. But I do think I'm a bit of a weird songwriter, to be honest. I mean, I know songwriters who just spend loads of time songwriting. They just do hundreds of songs all the time. But whenever I've written songs, I'll have like I won't write a song for 6 months, and then I'll write 3 in the night. So I think when this whole situation comes over and I can reflect, that's when I'll be songwriting.
Because I mean, there's a kind of a theory, a guy called Todorov, about kind of storytelling, and it's about kind of stability and then disruption, and then things coming together again. And I think with songwriting, which kind of knock us off the table, you know, can be very inspirational in songwriting.
I mean, if I wanted to now, I mean, I'm still working, so I haven't exactly had the whole time to do nothing. But I've worked since the entire lockdown. Really, I think I had 3 days off. Did a bit of housework and then I was back to it. So I've only had my usual evenings and weekends to enjoy it. But I think I can get down to, if I had the mind frame to say, you know, I'm going to write 5 songs tonight because I need to. It's usually when I need to. When I think I want to do something, I want to record something next month, then I'll start writing songs. Maybe that's the wrong way to do it, but I mean, the EP I'm about to release now, I think I managed to get a slot in with Todd, and within the week I wrote those songs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was thinking the same thing. By the way, with Todd, obviously son of Phil, his brother Dane has also been interviewed on Keep Cardiff Live, which you'd also probably find interesting.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so he played on the track "Changing," which is the album, the EP title, and it's a bit of a '90s song. It's taken a lot of inspiration from like Tom Petty and stuff. I saw Tom Petty, I think it was 2017, just before he died, in Hyde Park, and it was like the best gig of my life. The atmosphere, the feeling, I don't know. And then when he died, I think it was 3 months later, I was just like honored the fact that I actually managed to see him. And I took a lot of inspiration from more the feel of his songs than anything else. So I've put a song out there that's not necessarily, I think what I do with my original writing is I'm not aiming for radio songs. I'm not aiming for current music. I'm just writing what I love in music. So I'm just bringing out all sort of inspirations from everything across the board. And it is a bit varied, but I think maybe that's personally why I'm so happy with the songs I'm releasing.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about Tom Petty, because I mean, Tom Petty for me, I love Tom Petty, by the way. I've never got to see him live, and I regret that so much, right? But what I love about Tom Petty is what he does so brilliantly, maybe unconsciously or in his songwriting, is he takes everyday expressions and turns them into fantastic songs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, it's just
and
mundane stuff. You know,
there's a lot of natural slang in his songs in a way. I mean, he's not just singing lyric for lyric in a certain lyrical way. He's just saying it as it is sometimes, and his personality and voice comes through that way best.
Yeah,
I think he's not pretty well known for that.
Yeah, and that is also, is that paralleled in your kind of more personal songwriting then, do you think?
I mean, I try not to focus on anyone. Like, I don't watch a documentary of Tom Petty and then start thinking, oh, maybe I should be doing this, should be doing that. It's just music I've grown up on since I was a kid, and as well as Fleetwood Mac, Eagles, Neil Young, like the lot is a lot. Jackson Brown, the list goes on. James Taylor. It's just also, yeah, that's what I was brought up as on as a kid, and
that's good parenting right there, James.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, all of those things combined, that's what I've listened to as a kid. That's what I've learned to love. So my mum will nag me for listening to old music sometimes, but like, doesn't matter how old it is really. Just that's what I love. I love newer stuff as well, obviously, but you can't sort of steer away from some of the classics sometimes. So
No, I mean,
I'm gone.
I was going to say, to be honest with you, I looked at through some of the bands you mentioned. I looked through some of your sort of press content. I don't even know these bands. You know, there's some of these younger bands because I'm an old geezer. You know.
Yeah, there's some newer ones on it. I think that's more for the WYNT side of things. You know,
Yeah.
we're trying to channel newer interests and younger audiences. But for myself, I'm not really competing with that sort of stuff. I'm just putting the music out I like to do. And I think
Yeah.
that's what the nice change is. I'm doing exactly what I enjoy doing. It's not written for anyone or anything in particular.
No. Well, you know, it's really subjective, but you know, something's either good or it kind of isn't. You know, it really
Yeah,
doesn't matter what time frame it comes from. You know, it's got quality or it hasn't. You know,
yeah, I understand.
what's the
I
future,
like.
James, in terms of your songwriting? What's next for you? Obviously, the
Um,
out now sort of thing, and you know,
yeah, I'm gonna see how the CP goes. I've never really had too much focus on my own stuff, to be honest. I've just sort of been, well, this is the first of it really. I did release one or two singles a couple of years ago, but didn't put enough focus on them, if I'm honest. So I'd like to really try and push this EP as much as I can as an independent level and see how that goes. In future, I think for the rest of my life, I will always keep doing solo projects and stuff I enjoy. Uh, when I play pubs on the weekend. I'll play stuff on my own. I'll play stuff with the band. Um, if I play with the band all the time, I miss playing on my own. If I play on my own all the time, I miss playing with the band. So I'll always be doing a bit of both, you know.
yeah. Well, it's just great to play. Wouldn't it be lovely to play?
Yeah, and actually, after this lockdown, it's the longest period I haven't played a live show for. Probably I'm trying to work out how old it be. I think about 8 years
Wow. Yeah.
since we started playing with the band. So I was only like 16 when we started playing pubs and stuff, and I've pretty much done that. Not every weekend, but you know, quite a lot since then. But I haven't really missed playing cover gigs at all. I've enjoyed my quiet time, but I do miss playing. You know, before lockdown, we started playing some pretty decent gigs with the band, and we were doing we did a gig in Club Overbach for This Feeling, and we had a good turnout to that one.
Mm.
And I think when I watch a video back of that now, and you feel the atmosphere of the crowd and all the rest of it, that makes me want to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures of that. It looked like it was a fantastic event, actually. And Club
Yeah,
Overbach,
great night.
proper venue, isn't it? It's a good size
Yeah,
venue.
I mean, you can't argue with. There are a couple of good venues in Cardiff, but I think for its central location and you know, the capacity is about 250, I think, upstairs, which is ideal for an up and coming band that are sort of doing the bigger show, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Um, you're not generally selling that many tickets, but if you want to do your big gig, then that's a perfect spot for it.
yeah. It's probably what Cardiff could do with a bit more as a kind of medium to large kind of venues, which.
Yeah, I love the Globe as well. The Globe's really good.
Sound is not.
Um, yeah, okay. So there's ups and downs, but and it's also the other side of Cardiff, which can make a bit of a
Good size venue.
difficulty. But whenever I've played at Globe, I've really enjoyed it. And if you can get a two-tier audience, you are laughing.
Yeah. Yes. You need that in there, I think. James, you said to me,
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
well, before we started recording, you said apparently I interviewed you on GTFM when you were about 11, yeah? So
Yeah,
what was the context for that? Were you in a band then? Were you a musician? I can't remember.
11. I think it was my first ever experience. Well, it must have been my first ever experience playing on radio station. Um, I have a feeling I did a cover of "Have a Nice Day" by Bon Jovi. Don't know if I did anything else. But it was my first. I think at the time my dad owned a pub called the Wheat Chief in Llantriston,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
and I'm not sure some way how it got sorted out, but I ended up doing a little slot on there. My memory isn't the best, if I'm honest. This came from my mum's memory, so she's like, "Oh yeah, you've had an interview with Steve before," and I'm like, "Have I?" So yeah. To be honest, if anyone wants to question that, you want to question my mother, not me.
Well, anyway, obviously, I knew your dad, and I'm sure I've met your mum over the years, and I'm sure they're,
Yeah,
you know, and that's lovely, really. I'm sure they're really proud of what you do, you know, and how and what because you know because music. I mean, you know, your dad he was music ran through his veins,
yeah, that's where it comes from for me. So
and he's a big Neil Young fan, if I remember.
yeah, same for me. So it literally just follows on like that. I've seen Neil Young twice.
Yeah,
Neil Young is, as many people will know, Neil Young's top of my list as well. You know.
yeah, fantastic songwriter. Well, listen, with the EP, if it's of any use to you, if you want to do a session for Keep Cardiff Live, or you want to promote it in any way, then you know, just let us know, and you know, I'm sure you know the site would love to do that for you. If it's of
Oh,
use,
wicked! Thank you.
let us know. Don't burn the barbecue, you know. Look after your mum.
The
Keep.
chicken's in. It's all right. It's safe.
But James, thanks very much. Good luck with everything, and if you know,
No
if
problem.
we do anything for you, give us a shout. Yeah. Say hi to your folks.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
Will
James.
do, Steve.